NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. First of all, how does that sound to you?
It sounds crazy still to this day, honestly.
For someone, you haven't been in the business super long. I mean, first of all, you're only 21 years old to begin with. But you started training as a teenager. And my first question is, you basically went to probably one of the best trainers that you could have asked for in the business, Booker T. Talk about your first experiences training with Booker T at his school.
Yeah, so I had actually wanted to go to Booker T since I was a kid. So me and my family, we had this family computer, and I think it was about like 11 years old when I was on that computer looking up wrestling schools in Texas, and I found Booker T school, and I called my parents over, and I was like, Booker T has a wrestling school in Houston. Like, I have to go there. When I turn 18, I'm gonna graduate high school and I'm gonna move to Houston to go start training to become a wrestler there. And my parents were like, all right, like, you got a plan? If that's your plan, like, then you're gonna do it. Like, for sure. And so I always had their support. And then I ended up getting trained earlier than expected. So I started training when I was like 13, under Laredo Wrestling Alliance in my hometown under George Benavides, Johnny Angel, and they were um, so awesome. They took me under their wing when they could have just looked at a 13-year-old little girl and been like, no. So I'm always so grateful for them. They taught me the basics, the ins and the outs of the wrestling business. And then when I was 16, I kind of had a few matches under my wing. So I actually got Booker T to reach out to me and invite me on his show. So that was really cool because I started training there and I said, oh, when I turn 18, I'm going to start training at Booker's. But I was 18 and I had become his youngest reality wrestling diamonds champion. So it was kind of mind blowing for me because, like I said, I kind of manifested it in a way, but it just happened so much greater than I could have imagined. So yeah, Booker is amazing.
That actually opened up the door because you then went to Ring of Honor, spent a
Yes.
short time in Ring of Honor, became their women's champion, and before they closed down before the pandemic. And next thing you know, 10 months ago, you signed your first developmental deal with NXT.
Yes.
Just talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, so I was with Ring of Honor for a while, became their honestly for a little bit because it was only a few months. I became their first ever Ring of Honor Women's Champion. And I think that's what really opened the door to WWE, I think. Um, and Ring of Honor ended up going out of business, and that was a weird time for me because uh, I I was like, well, what am I gonna do now? You know, where am I gonna go? And I think it was actually the last Ring of Honor taping, and I was just walking around doing my thing, and I got a call, and it was William Regal, and he said, "Hey, this is William Regal with WWE. Is this Roxy?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is." And he's like, "Well, we heard what happened. We really want to bring you in for a tryout, see if you like it here, see how everything goes, and yeah, would you like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love that." Like I think my heart just dropped. I called my mom right away. I was crying. I was like, "Oh my God, this is like crazy." I feel like everything just happens at the right time. Everything happens for a reason, you know? I think at that time I just wasn't sure what was gonna happen next and was like lost for a second and then that happened and it was just like, wow, okay.
It's been a whirlwind 10 months for you. You win the NXT Breakout Star of the Year, Female Star of the Year. You go on to become NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, rather, with your former best friend Cora Jade. Uh, then you win the Iron Iron Man Survivor Challenge, first ever women's Iron Man Survivor Challenge, and you cash that in. Now, we won't go into a whole lot of detail, but what was your reaction when you found out you were going to be given the women's championship opportunity early because
Whew.
it was scheduled originally for New Year's Evil from what I've heard and what Mandy Rose has gone public about as well.
So it wasn't supposed to happen that day. Um, and I think it was a mix of emotions because it was just I didn't have time to, soak it in. It was just like, all right, this is happening right now. And it was like, okay, you just expect the unexpected. Um, and obviously like Mandy, I think she's amazing. And since I got to NXT, she was always someone that I could go to. And um, she didn't have to be so as giving and sweet to me as she was because she had been there for so long. So for her to just be such a good human being and I was always so grateful for her. So I was in a way a little sad because of just the way it was happening, but also she was so supportive and was just like, "You deserve this." So it just made it so much more special. And yeah, and then to have Booker T in commentary, like my trainer, my boyfriend was there as well in the crowd, and he was like a really big part of my training and just me becoming the wrestler that I am today. So to have them there and to just when they gave me that championship and just like holding it in my hands, it didn't feel real until that moment because it was just like wow, like everything that I went through, all the trials, tribulations, the ups and downs of this wrestling journey that I've been on since I was 13, all of those moments were so worth it because it was finally real and it finally happened and yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, having watched, I watched it that night and hearing the excitement in Booker T's voice after you won that match, you could tell he was so proud of you. Um, what was your first thought when you heard them say "and new NXT Women's Champion"?
I think it was just like, wow, this is finally real because it was something that I imagined since, being 10 years old. I remember watching Paige become the first ever NXT Women's Champion, and I think she was 18 or 19 at the time, and she also had started training when she was like 13, and she was a huge inspiration for me because it just showed me that like wow, like it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter if you're 29, if you're 18, like you can literally make anything happen as long as you just put in the work, be consistent, and just keep your mind right, and yeah, it was just like I remember just like laying in bed when I was a kid, like just dreaming about it, and then being in a WWE ring, holding that NXT Women's Championship. It was just a full circle dream come true.
What does it mean to you to hold the same belt as you said? Paige has held, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Bailey, the the ladies that have laid the groundwork for you. What does that mean to you to hold the same belt now?
It means everything, honestly. It definitely means that it it comes with, a little bit of pressure because I do want to live up to everything that they have been able to achieve in their careers and um but I also think it's so exciting because these are the women that I've looked up to that have inspired me and now I'm in the position to where now I get to inspire a younger generation and I think that that's what's the most important thing to me like holding this championship is just being able to represent it in a way that inspires a younger generation whether it's like when I was a kid, I remember being so inspired by AJ Lee because she was a tomboy and she was a small little tiny Puerto Rican girl and that's me. So I hope that I can inspire a younger girl that can relate to me, that can see herself in me. So yeah, hopefully down the road I meet a little girl in WWE that says, "Oh, you inspired me to be here." So thank you. So yeah, that's my goal.
Two more questions because I know we're running short on time. Saturday, February 4th, your first title defense, and of all
Yes.
things, it's a triple threat match against Toxic Attraction. We got a little preview this past Tuesday of what it's going to look like. What what can we expect from Roxanne that night?
But you can definitely expect me to do whatever it takes to take that championship back home with me because it's not going anywhere. JC and GG, it's not going anywhere. They've tried to, they've been preying on me since the moment I stepped foot in NXT, and I think now that I took down their empire, they're preying on me even more. But I mean, I don't know if you saw, but one shot at an NXT Women's Championship opportunity, and both of them are just falling at the seams. So I don't know.
Yeah, can they coexist with the title on the line?
I don't know. I'm only worried about one thing, and that's my championship. And I think they're worried about two things because I think they're worried about each other as well. So,
Does it worry you that you don't have to be involved in the pinfall or the decision to lose your belt title? Sorry.
that's definitely something that I'm gonna have to look out for because obviously in a singles match you're just worried about one person. Now I'm worried about two. So yeah, I think just being able to stay in there as much as I can. If I get popped out to the outside, just making sure to get right back in, no matter how much pain I'm in. So I'm definitely gonna do that.
All right, last question. I would be remiss to ask you. Obviously, this past Tuesday, we heard about Jay Briscoe. You worked with Jay Briscoe in Ring of Honor. Just give me one quick story or memory of Jay.
I think just I never really got to sit down and have too many conversations with them, but just their energy, like as soon as they walked into a room, you just you just feel their energy, and it just kind of like uplifted you, whether you were having a bad day, whether you were having a good day. As soon as they walk through the door, like you're like, okay, okay, their energy was just is just infectious. His energy was infectious, and they were always just so sweet. And as soon as I walked into Ring of Honor, just so scared. I had never been in a big promotion before. It was my first time. I didn't know too many people, and he introduced himself to me right away, told me welcome, and so yeah, I've heard so many stories about him, and he was such a great dad, great person. So yeah, it's sad, and he definitely will be missed.